Have you ever noticed how your cat's tail seems to move like it has a mind of its own? It twitches, it sways, it puffs up, or curls around your leg like a silk ribbon. But what if I told you that every flick, every wave, every still moment of your cat's tail is packed with meaning, sometimes subtle, sometimes screaming for your attention? Most cat owners don't realize it, but their feline companions are constantly talking to them, not with meows or purrs, but with that elegant, expressive tail. This isn't just about quirky behavior. Understanding your cat's tail is like unlocking a hidden language, a secret code of emotions that could be telling you when your cat is happy, stressed, angry, confused, or even afraid for its life. And in many cases, your cat might be desperately trying to get your attention, hoping you'll understand what it's been trying to say all along. But most of us don't. Today, we're going to change that. You'll discover how tail movements reveal a cat's deepest feelings, how tail posture predicts their next move, and why some tail signs can be the difference between a peaceful home and a dangerous misunderstanding. This isn't just fascinating, it's essential knowledge for anyone who lives with, loves, or even fears cats. So next time your cat lashes its tail while you're petting it, don't ignore it. That tail might be pleading with you to stop before claws come out. Or when your cat wraps its tail gently around your ankle. That's not random affection, that's feline love, as deep and real as any human bond. By the end of this video, you'll never look at a cat's tail the same way again. You'll learn to see the signals, hear the silent cries, and maybe, finally speak a little cat. To truly understand the language of your cat's tail, you have to start with its natural instincts. Cats are both predators and prey. They're constantly assessing their environment for threats, opportunities, and emotional signals. Their tails are part of that communication system, both to other animals and to us. But unlike dogs, who are often very direct and animated, cats speak in whispers, and their tails are the softest whispers of all. Let's begin with one of the most misunderstood signals, the tail flick. You're sitting on the couch, petting your cat gently. Everything seems calm, but suddenly, the tip of the tail starts twitching. At first, it might look playful or even cute, but in most cases, this tiny movement is the first warning sign that your cat is overstimulated. It's not enjoying the contact anymore. That little flick says, "I'm done." Ignore it, and the tail might start whipping faster, like a fuse burning toward a spark. And then, out of nowhere, a bite or a scratch. Not out of meanness, but because you missed the whisper. Now think about the opposite. The tall, upright tail with a soft curve at the tip. That is one of the clearest signs of feline affection and confidence. When your cat approaches you with its tail high, it's saying, "I trust you. I feel safe with you." This is the same posture kittens use when approaching their mothers. It's a gesture rooted in early bonding, an echo from childhood that they now offer to you. That's not just communication, it's a compliment. Then there's the puffy tail, what many people think is just a sign of fear. But it's actually more complex. A puffed tail means the cat is trying to look bigger, often in moments of high stress, arousal, or confrontation. It's an ancient instinct. Make yourself look more threatening to scare off danger. But here's where it gets personal. Cats don't just puff their tails around predators. They might do it around people they love if they suddenly feel unsafe. A loud noise, a stranger, a sudden movement, and your sweet, soft companion transforms into a bristled warning. In those moments, your cat is saying, "I need space. I don't feel okay." And then there's the tail wrap, the silent hug. If your cat sits beside you and wraps its tail gently around your leg or your hand, that's not just body placement, that's attachment. In feline social groups, cats rub and wrap tails with others they trust. So when your cat does it to you, it's inviting you into its emotional circle. That's more than affection, that's family. But tail language isn't always about extremes. Sometimes it's subtle. A slow, low sway might mean your cat is focused, hunting, even if the prey is just a moving shadow on the wall. A fast, low wag could signal irritation or confusion. And a tail tucked under the body? That's one of the most heartbreaking postures: fear, anxiety, or submission. It's a sign your cat feels vulnerable and may need comfort or a retreat from the environment. And here's a twist most people never expect. Cats don't always use their tails to communicate with humans the same way they do with other cats. Over time, they've adapted their tail behaviors to get better at talking to us. Scientists believe that the upright tail, a clear invitation of friendliness, is more often shown to humans than to other cats. Why? Because they've learned that we respond positively to it. In other words, cats are not just expressing themselves, they're studying us, learning what works, and adjusting their behavior accordingly. Your cat is watching you, decoding your reactions to its tail. It's a two-way conversation, if you're willing to listen. If we dive even deeper, we find that the tail isn't just a behavioral signal, it's also a neurological extension of your cat's emotional state. A cat's tail contains dozens of muscles and is directly connected to its spinal cord. That means every flick and twitch is not just conscious communication, it's often an immediate reflection of your cat's nervous system. In simple terms, their tail reacts to how they feel before they even realize it. That's why tail language is so honest. It's pure emotion in motion. Let's talk about the hunting tail. Have you ever seen your cat crouch near the window, eyes locked on a bird or a squirrel, with its tail twitching like crazy? That rapid, rhythmic movement isn't frustration, it's anticipation. It's a buildup of adrenaline. That tail is saying, "I'm ready to strike." Even if your cat is indoors and can't physically hunt, those instincts don't go away. The tail twitch becomes an emotional release, a way to burn off the tension of wanting to chase but being unable to do so. Now compare that to what we call the question mark tail, an upright tail with a crooked, slightly curled tip. This one is fascinating because it usually appears when a cat is curious or exploring a new environment. Scientists believe it's a way of saying, "I'm open but cautious. I want to know more, but I'm watching closely." If your cat walks into a new room with a question mark tail, it's likely testing the waters, deciding whether the space is safe. And if you're in that room, your cat is also asking, "Do I trust you in this space with me?" That tiny curl at the top is loaded with intention. But the tail isn't just about what your cat is feeling in the moment. It's also tied to memory. Yes, memory. Studies have shown that cats can associate certain tail positions with past experiences, especially emotional ones. If your cat had a negative experience in a particular room or with a specific person, just entering that space can trigger tail behaviors associated with fear, like tucking low, wrapping tightly around the body, or even hiding it completely. On the flip side, positive experiences can produce high, loose, and relaxed tail movements. In this sense, your cat's tail can be a walking emotional timeline, a visual diary of how it feels in different contexts. Let's not forget the whipping tail, either. This is where most people get it wrong. A tail that's lashing back and forth quickly, especially if the rest of the cat seems still, is not playful. It's a red flag. That's often a buildup of frustration, agitation, or overstimulation. Think of it like a pressure valve about to pop. If you're petting your cat and this tail movement starts, it's your last chance to stop. If not, the next communication might involve teeth or claws. Again, not out of aggression, but out of desperation. Your cat tried to speak. You just didn't listen. And here's something that might surprise you. Cats with shorter tails or even no tails at all still communicate in incredibly rich ways. They've learned to compensate with body posture, ear position, and even micro movements of their lower spine. This adaptation shows just how vital communication is to cats. Even when they lose their primary tool, they find a way to keep talking, because cats, despite their reputation, don't want to hide from us. They want to be understood. One of the most heartwarming tail gestures happens during sleep. If you've ever seen two cats curled up together and one lays its tail gently over the other's body, that's not just comfort, it's protection. It's a silent vow that says, "You're safe with me." When a cat does this to you, draping its tail over your arm or leg while it sleeps, that's one of the deepest signs of trust it can offer. It's not just resting, it's guarding you in the only way it knows how. In the end, every tail movement, from the twitch of a tip to the grand curve of a greeting, is part of an emotional symphony that most people never hear. But once you learn to listen, you'll begin to see your cat not as a mystery, but as a deeply expressive being, trying every day to share its inner world with you. Now that you've tuned into the secret language of your cat's tail, you might start noticing things you've never paid attention to before. That subtle sway as your cat walks through the hallway. It's not random. It's a silent expression of calm confidence. That frozen tail with just the tip flicking while it sits on the windowsill? It's hyper-focused, calculating, living out the ancient instincts of a wild hunter in the safety of your home. But let's take it further, into the emotional bonds between cats and humans, and how tail behavior often becomes the bridge that closes the gap between two very different species. You see, your cat's tail doesn't just express what it feels, it responds to what you feel too. Researchers have observed that cats are capable of emotional mirroring, especially with their primary caregivers. If you come home stressed or angry, your cat's tail may lower or tighten, not because it's afraid of you, but because it feels the tension. If you're calm and relaxed, the tail may sway gently, loosely, as if echoing your state of mind. Some cats even develop what behaviorists call tail empathy, when they mirror your energy levels or moods with their body language. One woman reported that whenever she cried, her cat would climb into her lap, tail wrapped tightly around her arm, and just sit there, not moving, not meowing, just being. That tail wasn't just resting, it was anchoring, emotionally holding space. This is the depth of feline communication most people never see. And it doesn't just happen with sad moments. In joyful times, when you're laughing, playing, dancing, watch your cat's tail. Many cats will flick their tails in response, almost like wagging in rhythm, or even wrap their tails around objects or other pets in the room. This isn't randomness, this is social energy. Your cat is participating in your emotional world. And what about cats who don't use their tails much? Are they less expressive? Not at all. Some cats are stoic, reserved. They may have experienced trauma, abandonment, or even neurological quirks that make tail use less frequent. But if you watch closely, even the smallest movement, a tail tightening just slightly, a twitch at the tip, can be the emotional equivalent of a full shout. These are the quiet cats, the ones who need us to listen harder. They are no less loving, no less loyal. In fact, when a quiet cat chooses to wrap its tail around you, it may be offering you something even more sacred. Trust, born of caution. A deeper kind of love. You may also notice your cat's tail language changing with age. Kittens tend to have more exaggerated, playful tail movements because they're still learning the ropes of feline expression. As they mature, tail language becomes more refined, subtle, precise. And in elderly cats, tail communication can fade or shift due to arthritis, neurological changes, or general fatigue. But that doesn't mean the emotion is gone. Often, these senior cats will rely more on eye contact, vocalizations, and the occasional soft tail brush, like a signature they can't quite write anymore, but still try to sign. The beauty of tail communication lies in its simplicity and its depth. It's an emotional waveform, nonverbal, immediate, honest. You'll never have to guess if your cat is anxious, annoyed, or content once you learn how to read that tail. It's not hidden. It's right there, behind them, all the time. You just have to look. And sometimes, it's not about problems or alerts or emotions at all. Sometimes, your cat's tail just wants to be close. Draped over your hand, wrapped around your wrist, gently brushing against your leg as they pass by. These are love notes, fleeting, fragile moments that say, I see you, I trust you, I choose you. What more could you ask from a creature once considered aloof? So the next time your cat walks into the room, don't just look at its face, watch its tail. That soft, flowing line of fur is more than a physical extension. It's an emotional compass. It tells you where your cat is, emotionally, in that moment. Whether it's standing tall like a flag of joy, curling delicately in a moment of affection, or thrashing with rising frustration, the tail speaks. Always. Cats may not bark or jump with excitement like dogs. They may not always seek your attention directly, but they speak. In fact, they never stop. And once you've learned to interpret that language, it becomes impossible to unsee it. Every flick becomes a feeling, every sway, a story. And suddenly, the aloof mystery that is the cat becomes something else entirely. A deeply emotional, emotionally expressive being that was never trying to hide, just trying to be understood. That's the quiet beauty of feline love. It doesn't shout, it doesn't demand, it waits, it offers, it trusts. So look for the tail, learn its rhythms, feel its signals, And when your cat wraps it gently around you, wrap your heart around that moment. Because what you're witnessing isn't just behavior, it's connection. A silent, sacred bond written in the softest language of all. If this video helped you understand your cat just a little better, consider joining our community of animal lovers here at Mundo Animal. Subscribe for more insights, stories, and secrets from the fascinating world of pets and wild creatures alike. Because when we listen to animals, we don't just learn about them, we learn about ourselves.